I'm Bob Joseph. Today is Friday, August 14th, 2026. Good morning. Welcome to WNBF. Real talk for real people. 607-772-1290. Let our community conversation begin. WNBF. Jesse from Owego, you're on the air.
Why, good morning, Robert. We went from Manic Monday to Freaky Friday. What a week it's been, you know? I love it.
And remember, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, that's right. It's Bachman and Mr. Turner and I don't know. Oh, the Overdrive was a truckers magazine. That's where they came up with that name. Did you know the story behind that, Bob? Bachman and Turner went to a truck stop. I think they're out in Iowa or something like that. And there was something about Overdrive. It was Overdrive magazine, and they looked at that, and they're like, why don't we just add that to our name? So, henceforth, here you go. Bachman, Turner, and Overdrive.
Better than Bachman, Turner, Newsweek.
Well, that's very true. So how did you fathom that storm that we had? It was late at night, like 10 o'clock in the evening. And first it came down. And then all of a sudden it really, really came down. Now I thought here at the Howard Mansion, living on a second story, that I would not get flooded. But apparently the rain broke through the roof. And there's a quarter of my ceiling that came down. And I mean, it looked like Niagara Falls. I was just sitting here like...
Well, did you call in FEMA? You should call in the Federal Emergency Management Agency for some assistance.
Oh, you know what? Had I done that, Robert, they would have arrested me instead. Oh, well. Anyway, I got the ceiling tiles out. I'm just going to let it dry. I'll put some new ones in. Done deal. But, hey, when you got buildings around here that are 200 years old, hey, what can you do? You know, it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's never going to change. But that's the beauty of life. The beauty of life is you start every day, and you have no idea what's going to happen between now and midnight. That's what I love about it.
Well, there you go. We're not going to sweat it. Now, by the way, did you get my picture of the turkey joint? I've got them fully packed.
When did you send it? When did you send it? In the last couple of hours? Yeah, I haven't checked my email. I've been out covering the news. I don't have time to be looking at my email every couple of minutes when I'm out covering the news and talking with people and asking the important question. The most important question is, what happened? That's usually what happened. Sometimes the first question is why, but usually when I get to the scene, my opening inquiry is what happened.
I can understand that. No big deal. No big rush to check.
No, and keep them in a safe, cool place. And I will, don't you worry, I'll retrieve them at my earliest possible convenience.
Okay.
All right.
So you know where Hysterical Lake Street is. So
I know it well. I've been there and done that. So yeah, don't you worry. I do appreciate your getting them for me, and I certainly will strive to get them from you within the next few days.
Now let me ask you this: is there a good topic for today? Because I've seen some really crazy stuff on the news today.
Well, propose a topic, and I'll give you a thumbs up or thumbs down. Propose. Okay. Make sure it's a great topic, not just a good topic. We want to end the week on a great note. So, what topic would you suggest?
Well, right now Trump's about to get sued because he apparently gave a bunch of fat people early access to some of his sites, like X and a few others.
Sure, and if that's true, it sounds like a high-level felony. It wouldn't surprise me if he's striving to get 100 felony convictions by the end of the year. He's already had 34, so I was not a math whiz. It seems to me he needs only another, 66 felonies, and he'll hit 100 by New Year's Eve.
But you know what? I'm going to balance this out. Nancy Pelosi is the best insider trader on the planet, and people were following.
Yeah, that's okay. I have no problem with her and her husband enriching themselves. You know,
Exactly.
that's okay because they live in California. I'm tired of people who live in New York and Florida enriching themselves at my expense. So, again, you know, I am not a judge and I am not a jury. I'm just saying, based on the early facts as they've been laid out by the liberal media, it sounds like there may have been some criminality involved. I'm not judging. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just saying, gosh, I hope this doesn't turn into another impeachment trial.
You know what? The only way you could be a judge, Bob, is if you put your foot on the pedal. You got to go at least.
I know. My people are working closely with Jenny Pirro's people. We're going to wind up probably at some point, before you know it, racing through Tioga County again at 65 miles per hour. Anyway, hope you have a great weekend. Just be careful out there.
Yep, don't tell me no lies and keep your hands to yourself, you know.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. It's 9:17 here at News Radio WNBF. Friday morning with Bob Joseph. John from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hi, Bob. Congratulations to the Suffolk County IDA. Yesterday, at a meeting, after an hour in private session, they came out and voted to fire their IDA CEO, Kelly Murphy.
Why?
Decisive.
Why? For cause?
Well, they made her a consultant for 30 days or 60 days, strategic consultant, they're calling it. Nobody seems to know the exact reason why, but I can tell you this, that the Suffolk County IDA, at least publicly, has nowhere near the problems that the Broome County IDA has. But if people want to see a real IDA board of directors, they can watch that meeting on the Suffolk County IDA website.
I will. And I'm looking at an internet account. It says she's been ousted as CEO by the Suffolk County IDA. And I have to say, the file photo shows her apparently in happier days. But, you know, it's ironic when the only photo they have in the library at the website is the photo probably from the day she was hired. So it looks kind of weird to see it with the story when she was ousted. But
yeah, the making less than the Broome County IDA.
No.
With her. Yeah.
But that's not possible. The cost of living on Long Island is so much higher than it is here in Broome County.
Well, she doesn't have two other jobs with the Suffolk County Chamber of Commerce either.
Right.
You know.
What else is going on? What else do I have to worry about this weekend?
Well, a great moment in rock history at Jones Beach when 2 days ago when Richie Blackmore rejoined Deep Purple for Smoke on the Water, 32 years.
Oh, that Fire in the Sky. You know, that was one of the better songs. I think I drew the line, though, when WQIT started playing the 1001 Strings version of it. You know, an elevator music version of Smoke on the Water, in my opinion, was just a step too far. Well,
from Sunshine of Your Love to the Unbroken Chain to Smoke on the Water, you know.
But there you go. Well, keep your eyes on things this weekend. If you see anything, as always, say something. You have my email address.
Okay, Bob, I will stay in touch with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's 9:20 WNBF. Our community conversation continues till noon. I'll be taking more calls if you have local topics to discuss or maybe some statewide topics or national topics. Most things can be covered within reason. 607-772-1290. You're listening to Bob Joseph on News Radio, WNBF and WNBF.com. We're joined in the studio by Sean Cummings, Environment Program Director with Cornell Cooperative Extension here in Broome County. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
You have a special event coming up this Sunday. Tell us about it.
Yeah, on Sunday, we have an event called EcoFest. It's the first of its kind for us. It runs from 11 to 3, and we have all kinds of workshops and demonstrations and activities, all revolving around community members learning about forming a connection with our local environment, learning about our local animals, learning about composting, our local plants, and we're going to have all kinds of ways of doing that.
Tell me a little bit of the background as far as preparing for Sunday's event.
Yeah, so we've been planning for it for a number of months, and it started with just an idea, as many things do start with, just kind of sitting around with the other folks at CCE and some of the educators who do the direct programming, thinking about, how can we kind of combine all the different things we do and hold one big event, hopefully on a weekend, and get a lot of people out. We do a lot of standalone programs throughout Broome County for the public and in schools as well. And this is kind of like a one-day showcase of all those things. And we're hoping people come out and can experience some of that and also enjoy themselves and have some fun.
And it's an event that will be appropriate for all ages. There are some specific things that are kid-friendly.
That's correct. There are a number of things that are kid-friendly. We're going to have story time, some of our educators reading stories. We're going to have some art sessions that are kid-friendly as well. And we're going to have some garden walks. We have a very beautiful botanic garden on our campus, and we're going to have some of our educators doing guided walks through that garden, talking about caterpillars, talking about the different kinds of colors you find in nature, and doing a garden discovery walk. So what kind of things do you find in a garden mid-August in New York State?
Any idea of how many people you're bracing for? Are you expecting hundreds, thousands? Do you
I would
have
say
any
hundreds,
idea?
yeah. Thousands might be overwhelming,
Well,
but we'll
know.
take them, yeah.
It may not be necessarily as crowded as the Speedy Fest was last weekend.
No, probably not.
At Otsningo, but
Yeah.
I get a sense from what you've described, it's going to be of interest to many of our listeners and to their families. So
we hope so.
I would think that some of the people who are listening to this now will not only strive to attend, but they'll mention it to friends or family members. So hopefully, in addition to your being on the program, word of mouth will help let more people know about your event.
Yeah, and word of mouth often works great, yeah.
What else should people know in preparation for the event this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.?
So we've got a fun way of guiding people through the event. We've got this passport system. When you come to the event, you'll get your trifold brochure. It's got a whole schedule of the event. It's got a map of our campus so you can see where all the different events are happening. And we've got the event revolving around four themes: discover, learn, shop, and create. We've got an upcycled market happening in the farmers market as well. That's the shop component. And when you experience one of these themes, you get a stamp. And if you get all four stamps for all four themes, the first 80 people will be able to get an ice cream cone.
Sounds good to me.
Can't go wrong with ice cream.
And you never go wrong with a little thing to incentivize participation and encourage people to check out many of the things that are being offered. As far as the location and any kind of logistics, any special information people should know about getting to your place?
So we're at 840 Upper Front Street, which is where the Broome County Regional Farmers Market is that a lot of people are familiar with. So we have parking there. We do have additional parking if we need it, and people will be guided towards that. We'll have plenty of staff around that day to answer questions. And we have, of course, our information booth in the Farmers Market building, where we'll have some staff there stationed in case people have questions, they want to pick up one of the passports, or they need to know the location of something on the campus.
And there's also more information online in case people are curious about some of the specific events that'll be offered during the day.
That's correct. The event is on our website, and if people have been following CCE on Instagram or Facebook, they should probably have been seeing these posts going up describing the event, yeah.
Cornell Cooperative Extension's EcoFest, a day of discovery, sustainability, and community. That's coming up this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Sean Cummings, thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's 9:30. You're listening to WNBF Binghamton. If you have stuff you want to talk about, I've got some phone lines here. Go ahead, see if they work. 607-772-1290. Sports Friday morning at WNBF. It's 9:33. Red Sox still getting it done. So congratulations to Boston for doing what needs to be done. Hey, needs to be done. World Series. Here we come. Indeed, indeed. Weather forecast here from the National Weather Service. Sunny today, high 83. Partly cloudy tonight, low 57. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 83. Sunday. Showers and thunderstorms, high 80. Sorry. And gusty winds. So whatever you do, don't go fly a kite on Sunday. Right now it's officially 69, which would translate into 21 Celsius. That's WNBF. Air quality, let me punch this up on the air qualityometer. Moderate. It says AQI, air quality index for Binghamton right now is 53. When I was out there, out reporting last hour, air felt fine to me, but again, I guess I've become acclimated to smoke, not just on the water, but in the air. Let's see what else is coming up. Did you see? Now they want to put his name on the side of the Kennedy Center. I mean, where will it end? The answer is it won't. It will not. It will not end for another 2.5 years. You think it's been bad since January of last year? It's going to get a lot worse. It will get a lot worse. I'm sorry. It's further evidence that elections have consequences. So, on the plus side, I guess if there's a plus side, Democrats will probably point to this wackiness, including the insatiable desire to slap his name on anything that's not moving, probably on some things that are moving. I don't think that's going to help him with the midterms. Could be wrong. It could mean that there will be a giant red wave across this great land of ours. I'm not in the prediction business, but I don't see how these antics and the nonstop wackiness, I don't see how it helps Republican candidates. But maybe it does. Maybe I've misread the intelligent people in America. So who knows? We'll see. Latest, and I think this was alluded to a few minutes ago. Here's a headline from the reinvigorated Washington Post, which suddenly has gotten its journalistic game back. Truth Social sale of fast access to Trump Post draws legal concerns. It's amazing how headline writers have to contort themselves instead of just being more blunt. Listen carefully. And I'm sure I'll check in a moment, see what the New York Times headline is, because it's New York Times with their headlines. Talk about contortionists instead of just telling it like it is. New York Post, for all of its limitations, New York Post at least is pretty on the money with most of its headlines. New York Post allows its headline writers enough leeway to tell the truth in their headlines over their stories. Washington Post and New York Times have many restrictions for their headline writers. So again, Truth Social sale of fast access to Trump Post draws legal concerns. A new lawsuit alleges the product is unconstitutional. Other experts warn it could violate securities laws. It could violate securities laws. Trump's media company has forged ahead with selling investors advance access to top Truth Social Post despite legal and ethical questions as it faces renewed scrutiny over its financial stability and relevance. Some people are paying about $100,000 per month to get early access so they can theoretically make big cash money through this sort of apparent market manipulation technique. And again, the Washington Post is trying to be delicate here, as it should be, because in fairness, WAPO is still owned by Jeff Bezos, so he still has to deal with the big guy. So, anyway, we'll see how that ends. Of course, ultimately, like all good legal cases, it'll probably wind up before the Supreme Court, which is, of course, stacked in favor of the guy who's mired in the muck. Let's go back to the phones now at 9:39. Beverly from the town of Dickinson. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. How you doing today?
Great. Loving it, baby. Loving it.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, I've been studying the politicians that are running for governor. I like that Blackman. I like him very much. And I'll tell you who is really good is that Josh Riley. Boy, he's up to date on everything.
He grew up in West Endicott.
Yeah, I know he did. So he understands our area. That's one of the reasons that I like him.
Well, that's one of the reasons probably why he got elected, because he knows the mean streets of West Endicott as well as I do.
He knows this area, and he knows about the people, about the jobs and so forth, I don't think we're going to get a lot of more jobs back in Binghamton. Do you?
Maybe not. I don't know. I think it could. I think it could go either way.
Was, like IBM, Endicott Johnson, and so forth, like that, and the printing companies. They're all gone. But I was hoping that some of them would come back.
Well, maybe they'll open a new printing company in Endicott. They used to have. It was called Endicott Printing Company over on Nanacoke Avenue. They're the ones who used to print the Big E, the WNBF music surveys back in the day. Endicott Printing Company.
Oh, because I worked for Bella Blues for 7 years.
Did you make any books?
I started out as a collator, and then I went on to be a proofreader. A proofreader isn't exactly the easiest things, because you have there's so many words that are different, and you have to make sure that that's the right words in a book, because if it isn't, then you got to correct it. But they used to print books too,
Where?
At Valabaloo's.
Where? I mean, physically, where did they print the books?
Up on Clinton Street.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't print the books on Clinton Street. Come on, man.
No, Valabaloo's back in the 60s.
I didn't know. I knew they had a presence on Clinton Street. I saw it when the building burned down. You remember that? Because I think they put in a bunch of plastics and cardboard there after Vale Ballou shut down. Do you remember that?
But they had a fire there,
That's what I'm saying. It was Sunday night, and there's nothing good on TV, so everybody in the first ward went out to watch the fire and inhale toxic smoke from the burning plastic and cardboard. You remember that?
Because I worked for Bella Blues. I liked it there, but...
Well, why do you think they set the fire? I mean, not Vale Ballou, but whoever set that fire to burn down the old building. I mean, it was a nice big building.
I don't know, Bob. Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they did it on purpose. I can't tell you that, Bob. But I know that Bella Ballou was a good place to work for.
And how many people were working there? A lot? Well,
at one time, back in the 60s, they had about 200 people, you know, but they were in different apartments. But mine was in a department where I proofread. I started out as a collator, putting pages in a book, you know. And,
so how long did it take to proofread a book?
Oh, it depends. It depends on how many pages was there. Now they did mostly. Well, they had a lot of stories that come in and so forth, you know, and they had to proofread and so forth. But you know, they had a lot of books there. But mine was basically history, because I like history. I mean, I still go through. I go through the family trees, and it seems like every time I go through the family trees, I find something different. And I know the people that I'm related to, you know, because when my father passed away, on his side, you know, he wrote down on paper the people that we were related to, you know. So that's what I like, is history and doing family trees, and I do them all by hand, Bob.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of the wrecked building from when they set the fire. They set the fire. It was 29 years ago that they burned the dump down.
How long ago?
29 years ago. It was 1997. It says
Yep.
It was 196,000 square feet, and the building was destroyed on a Sunday night, and because it was filled to the brim with plastics and cardboard, and the investigators say the blaze was suspicious. What do you think of that?
Well, I have an idea that it could have been, you know, but I can't say whether if somebody did it or not. But
I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying the investigators said it was suspicious. That's all I know. Here's the newspaper story. Listen to this. The blaze left the block-long structure looking like a bomb had hit it. It was still smoldering Tuesday morning. Remember, the fire started. It was still smoldering 30 hours after the fire began. The investigators say it was suspicious. The cops were investigating, and at Broome County Health Department, they were scared because people, their eyes were still watering even the day after the fire because they were hanging out near the toxic smoke.
Right.
Can you believe that? On a Sunday night in September, instead of watching 60 Minutes, they were busy watching the building burn down.
Yeah, but I ain't going to bring any businesses back to Binghamton. The only one that I know is Lockheed Martin and that BAM. And
right.
because those are the only ones that I know of.
Well, what about Chick-fil-A?
Who?
Chick-fil-A.
I don't know. I'm still waiting for that place to open.
I hope they deliver, because when they open, it'll be so crowded, I'll just have them deliver me a sandwich right here to the studio.
Did you know that Uber bought their own cab company?
They did?
Because
What? Which one?
I was looking on the internet, and they have their own taxis now.
Which company? Who did they buy? Yellow Cab?
They have like Yellow, and they have David's Taxi, and I can't remember the other ones, but they're all run by Uber.
I didn't know that. Did you ever take one of the Ubers?
No, I didn't, Bob.
Why?
I never did.
Are you afraid?
I know that they charge by the mile.
Right.
Now,
but don't all taxis charge by distance?
Well, when I was at Walmart there a few years back, I read a sign on the cab company that the minimum was $14. You know,
well, these days it has to be even higher because of the gas prices. Trump raised all the gas prices, he starts the war.
When I was in Vesta Parkway, they had this kid. He used to take a cab to work, because he got a speeding ticket and he wouldn't give him his license back. So every time that he come to work, he had to pay $15 a round trip.
Well, that's a tough break. Anyway, hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, what's going on for the weekend?
They're going to have that Eco Fest over at 840 Front Street. Eco Fest, the thing at Cornell Cooperative Extension. You should go to it. It's close to your place.
Cooperative Extension?
Yeah, at 840 Front Street. It's really close to your place. You could probably walk to it or whatever. It's going to be Sunday, and it's free.
Oh, well, I'll see what my youngest daughter's doing. But
yeah, well, check with her. Maybe she'll take you over. It's we had Sean Cummings in earlier this hour. It sounds like it's going to be fun and informative.
Well, they wanted to get me a scooter. My family.
Here's my thought. I recommend against it only because I think that it might be a little too risky. Well, scooters are nice, but there's still a possibility of injury. So personally, I know you didn't ask me for advice, but personally, I think probably you would be better off not using a scooter.
Yeah, because the traffic is so heavy, especially on Front Street.
Yeah, well, I've seen the way some people drive there on Front Street.
Yeah.
Especially students are coming back, too. That's another thing. It's move-in day for all the students. Isn't that exciting?
Well, yeah.
I saw two of the students this morning, and I said hi to them because they're moving in.
Yeah, they have student living up here at Stony Brook.
I know. We did the story. They spent more than $1 million to fix up the dorm over there, which is, I thought it was great. It's we covered the story because they were doing some enhancements to the dorm, so it looks really nice.
When I went to school, when I went to Broome Tech, there was only 4 buildings there.
No kidding. Well, it shows you things change. Hope you have a good weekend. Yeah, be careful. Have a good weekend.
70s. Now look at it.
I know. Have a good weekend.
You too.
It's 9:51 at WNBF, WNBF.com. What do you think? Especially about selling confidential, top-secret information that could move markets, selling that information to people who could use it to make illegal cash. What do you think about that? Is that a good thing? Is that something that we are now able to condone? 607-772-1290, Friday morning at WNBF. It's 9:55, coming up in 5 minutes. ABC News Radio. We'll spend 2 minutes trying to explain it all. And the odds are they will not succeed. They will not succeed. Let's see what's going on at the Times. The New York Times. Oh, my gosh. Hold on. Was he the one only her hairdresser knew for sure? While Laura, not the one wrapped in plastic, while Laura got her hair cut the afternoon before her first date with David, her hairstylist predicted marriage. These stories in the Times, obviously, they're not about people like us. They're not about anyone you know or anyone you associate with. Listen to this. This shows you how the New York Times is trying to appeal to somebody totally different than us. A story by Rosalie Radomski. Laura got an unexpected add-on in 2023 at the hair salon in Manhattan's meatpacking district, right before her first date with David. Be careful, I have a reputation for doing people's hair on the first date with their future spouse, she recalled, her hairstylist saying, after she mentioned her plans for the evening. Anyway, it's the whole story. It's the whole story, and that's the New York Times telling a tale, again, about people we'll never know, people we'll never meet. But anyway, a fascinating tale nonetheless. It just goes to show the New York Times is appealing to a totally different demographic. The New York Times does not want readers like us. For one thing, we don't have the kind of money that appeals to their advertisers. So that's, as you might imagine, that's critical. Anyway, closer to home, you can take a look at all the stories at WNBF.com, filled with photos and sometimes video. If you want to know what's going on around here, I strongly encourage you to check out our website because much of the content is stuff that I write and produce. So one of the interesting stories, we've been waiting to give you some specifics. The former Walgreens over on Main Street in Johnson City. Well, you remember the good old days when that place was hustling and bustling and how they lied to us a few days before they closed. I went in there and I said, hey, are you guys going to be closing your Walgreens store? And everybody in there said, oh, no. Oh, no. And I said, well, what about all the shelves being bare? It sure looks like you're going to be closing your Walgreens store right here at 335 Main Street. And they assured me, they looked me in the eye and they said, no, we won't close. And then 5 days later, a sign went up and it said, we've closed our store. Good luck. And anyway, now UHS, which acquired the property, I think a year or two ago, has finally offered the details for its new project at the site. So we thoughtfully have put the story on WNBF.com. It's a 15,000 square foot building. UHS did acquire it for $3.5 million 2 years ago. So if you want to see what the big plans are, you can see the whole story free of charge at our website, WNBF.com. I think it's fascinating. I think it's intriguing. So it shows you what's going on there. Also, you can see what they're up to at that old Big Lot store at the Four Corners in Vestal. Finally, something is happening there. Read about it, WNBF.com. It's 10 o'clock.
News, talk, and information for Binghamton and Central New York. This is News Radio, WNBF Binghamton, a Town Square media station.
We'll be taking more of your phone calls coming up in a few minutes. So if you have certain thoughts, don't tell anyone. Don't spoil it. Keep your thoughts exclusive to this program. We'll have exclusive thoughts coming up in a few minutes from a wide array of contributors right here on our Friday program. It's great to welcome Rafe Moorhead back to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us back. We appreciate it.
You are the Director of Community Engagement and Grants for Achieve.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. I wish I had a title.
This one's a little long.
It is.
But, I mean, you do have the name. Bob Joseph is always a good fit.
It's not bad. It works well on my business cards. Anyway, good to have you back on the program. First, before we talk about the upcoming event, let's discuss Achieve, a little bit of background for people not familiar with the organization.
Yeah, so Achieve is a local nonprofit. We work with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout all ways of life. We currently support and serve about 2,200 individuals throughout Broome, Tioga, and Shenango counties. Something to look forward to come September 1st is we are planning to unify with the ARC of Madison-Cortland counties as well, which will expand our services and supports into those two counties.
Well, that's interesting. So that's just around the corner, really, a couple of weeks.
Coming up quickly, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning that. Now, let's talk about the 16th annual Savor the Summer tasting event. That'll be held August 27th, which is less than 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, so this event is our 16th annual Savor the Summer tasting event. This event brings in vendors from all across New York State, a lot of your local favorites as well, to come and serve their product and have the community taste their samples and their product, all while supporting Achieve.
And so I always say if an event is held more than 2 times, then it becomes a tradition. The fact that this has been going on for well over a decade does make it a community tradition.
Yeah, it's something that we look forward to every single year. It started off with some friends and some board members just kind of mingling and getting a couple vendors. And it's grown to our largest event of the year where we can expect about 400 to 450 people, a little bit more than 30 vendors. I would say at max about 40. And we have, it's grown exponentially. We have raffle baskets, live entertainment, and just to be able to enjoy the community with, 400 others is remarkable in its own.
And for those who have not attended, it's accessible. It's very close by, probably most of the people who are listening to us today.
Yeah, it's over at our Achieve Cutler Pond location. The exact address is 125 Cutler Pond Road, and that's in Binghamton, New York. It's right across the street from Broome Community College and the Broome County Dog Shelter.
I know it well. Know it and love the place. Now, tell us about the proceeds from this event. How will the proceeds from Savor the Summer be used?
Yeah, so this extra funding that we would receive from this fundraiser goes right back into the crucial programming that we support. So there are a few underfunded programs that we have to offer, such as, for an example, our summer program, which is our longest running program that Achieve offers, where we're able to provide a summer camp type setting for people with all abilities, more so children. For 6 weeks, we partner with one of the schools here and are able to provide those types of services for people who are interested in them. But there's a multitude of where this funding goes. All of our programming is crucial to the community and crucial to the people who need it. So it's our job to be able to provide those services for everybody.
So the event will take place on a Thursday evening. It's August 27th from 6 to 9 p.m. Now, if people want to attend, do they need to register in advance, or can they decide sort of on Thursday afternoon, I know that's happening. I remember hearing it on the program, and so let's go. So advance registration required?
You could do both. So if you want to go ahead and purchase your tickets early, you can go ahead and get them on our website now at www.achieveny.org. Or if you were looking to see what's going on Thursday, you wanted to test the waters and decide this is something you want to do, you can go ahead and purchase tickets at the door as well.
And again, the website?
Yep. So the website is www.achieveny.org.
Sounds like fun. The 16th annual Savor the Summer tasting event coming up right here in Broome County. It won't be long now. Rafe Moorhead from Achieve, thank you for joining us on this Friday morning.
Thank you for having me again, Bob. We appreciate it.
It's 10:17. We're live and local. If you still remember what you wanted to talk about, you can call now, 607-772-1290. This is WNBF and WNBF.com. All right, let's go back to the busy phones. Laura from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. I'm a long-time listener, and I'm hoping you can help me today. We're an older couple, and we always had sets of encyclopedias for our children. Now, I don't know what to do with them. We obviously don't need them anymore, and I'm wondering if any of your listeners have any idea what to do with them. I don't want to take them to the dump. That seems, wasteful. And a lot of the thrifty thrift stores don't want to have them. And I'm wondering if any of your listeners have any ideas what we could do with them.
Well, it's a great question. I imagine you're not alone. There are probably...
I know. I would imagine so, yes. And I thought maybe some of your listeners would have some ideas of what to do with them.
All right. I will put it out there because I've heard of a few other people who have nice encyclopedia sets, and man, they were good in their time, but now this internet company has just gone wild, and so I used to love, as a kid, just going through random parts of the encyclopedia set and just trying to learn new things.
That's true. And the internet, we're at this age, we have a computer, but we're not technology good on it. We don't have any Facebook or anything, like that to sell things or anything like that. So I'm just wondering if your readers had any suggestions.
All right. Stay tuned.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
I'll be listening.
Okay. Great question. What to do with old encyclopedias? If you have ideas, you can call 772-1290. Denny from Binghamton, good morning.
Morning, Bob. I called you a couple of weeks ago about some no parking signs that have been put up in Hillcrest, across from St. Francis Church.
I recall.
Just wanted to give you an update, but I think you already kind of know the update. We watch our great-grandchildren a few days a week, so I don't get to listen to you every day. But last weekend, I went to church on Saturday afternoon, and the signs were gone. And Sunday, I ended up listening to one of your previous broadcasts and heard Jason Gardner on the air talking about it. And so I'm appreciative for Jason to have the signs removed. I never got an explanation on why they were there.
Yeah, and as you heard, the county executive didn't know why either. But apparently someone in his office or someone with the county heard your call about the no parking signs, and really it didn't take long before the issue was addressed.
No, it didn't. The odd thing is I called the county executive's office 3 times and left messages about him. And I had called our assembly person for the county, and she had called and left messages about it. So either somebody there is forgetful or they have a terrible communication problem in the county executive office.
What I have come to accept, whether it's good or bad, the reality with government offices, whether it's county or the city or state, they receive a lot of calls every day. And sometimes I think just because of the volume of calls, sometimes some of these things get overlooked. I don't think it's intentional, but I think it's just the way it is. So, I think based on the conversation I had with Jason Garner a little over a week ago on the program, I do think if you've made calls, whether it's to a county or a city or town or village office, and after a reasonable amount of time you haven't received a reply or haven't had your issue addressed to your satisfaction, then it doesn't hurt to call this program, because we do shine a spotlight on a few things, and sometimes that's what is needed just to nudge people into action. I don't think it's intentional neglect. I think they probably have, in a lot of cases, one person who has to handle a lot of calls, and then they have to prioritize them. So I could see, although this thing about the no parking signs near the church was very important to you and other people who attend Mass at the church, it may not have been the highest priority right now for the county. So I think basically you did the right thing. You contacted them, and then when you didn't get action after a reasonable amount of time, you called the program.
And that's why I wanted to call.
Thank you. And by the way, just so you know, I wanted to do a story, and I actually went up there. I spent time, quality time, in Hillcrest. I hadn't been in Hillcrest in a while, so I took the long drive from downtown Binghamton to Hillcrest up Shenango Street. I traveled through the village of Port Dickinson, traveling 29 miles an hour, And then I got to Hillcrest. I was looking around, and I thought I saw where the signs used to be, but I wasn't positive, and I didn't have anybody I could talk to. The church office was closed that day. I think, I don't know if it was a Monday or whatever. Nobody was at the church. And I actually, just so you know, because I was trying to follow up, because I thought it was kind of an interesting story, I did leave a message for Father Tim Taher, and it took a couple of days, but he returned my call, and I have to be honest, I haven't gotten back to him, so we're sort of playing phone tag, because I was intending to do a little news story on it, not because it's the biggest news of Broome County, just because it was an interesting thing where your one call, I think, helped to get action. So anyway, I'm glad that it turned out well for you and for the people at the church.
Bob, I just wanted to, just let your listeners know that a phone call to prompt some action really does work, even when you try to get something done on your own. So
yeah. Well, thank you.
I'm appreciative of your program.
Thank you, Denny.
Okay, you have a good day.
1028 WNBF, the action station. WNBF gets action. Sounds like some sort of cheesy campaign that we're probably going to roll out Monday morning. WNBF gets action. And people will be like, people say, what is wrong with you kids? WNBF. When all hope is lost, you call Bob. You'll get action. So fast, it'll make your head spin. All right, sorry. It must be Friday. James from Binghamton, good morning.
Hey, thank God it's Friday.
Well, you can say that. I can't.
Oh, well, you got work this weekend?
No, on the radio, you can't say that.
Oh,
that word.
Okay.
You can say thank.
Right.
You can say thank, and you can say it's Friday.
Right. Yeah. I'm
but
sorry. Gosh,
on the radio, I can't. I can say gosh.
It's a harmless colloquialism.
I know. No, I just pointed out. No, I'm not. This is not critical.
I started reciting scripture. Or anything.
No. It's the gosh. It's the gosh darn truth.
Okay.
In radio or TV, have you noticed? Like on TV, say Action News.
Thank goodness it's Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's my point. On TV, on Action News or a network, you'll never. I shouldn't say never. For professional broadcasters, you won't hear them say that. I mean, if they exclaim something, it's usually, oh gosh, or golly, or gee. But you can't say that other thing, because then somebody is going to take you to task and slap you on the wrist.
For all the times that I engage in that sort of thing, I guess I deserved it there. Thank you, Bob, for keeping me on the broadcast.
Again,
I seek every day to be a better communications professional.
I just wanted to point out to the viewers that we're constrained. Who knows? The FCC has opened investigations for smaller things.
All right. So, speaking of the Fed, I got two quick things. A teaser is a question about the flock cameras, but it's not going to be as controversial as you think. But first, jumping off of hearing that interview with the gentleman from Achieve, that was great. They do great work, and I'm lucky enough to get to work peripheral to the developmental disability community. And listen, I mean, people want to keep looking at dangling keys over here about gas prices or about people's personal medical existence, whatever. In the meantime, you weren't looking, the Fed handed down a memo to state agencies basically saying that they will no longer look at support in community as the foundation behind which they evaluate whether or not services for the disabled are up to par based on the American Disability Act. And basically, that's a long way of saying, I told you so, because now these creeps who have vilified, vilified immigrants, have vilified women, have vilified the LGBTQ community, and continue. The next thing on their list are those that they think are using up our supports. And if you know someone who has received the proper supports that are necessary to exist in the community with a disability, you know that, true fulfillment in your life can be achieved. And the measure of how we, support the most vulnerable among us, to me, is the greatest measure of who we are. They barely get enough money from the state or the Fed. Most of these agencies rely on donations specifically. So we need to be, advocating for more funding. A great progressive beacon that New York is supposedly, it's the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities that seems to always get the budget cut from the top. So make sure you advocate for funding and support for our friends and family who receive these supports, and that includes the proper Medicare funding too, because it also gives jobs to those that support them. And, pay direct support professionals a fair wage. It's not a part-time job. That's my soapbox there.
All right. Well, I'll take that seriously. And on a more important note, hope you have a good weekend.
Okay. Oh, can I ask my quick question about the flock camera?
Yeah, ask a quick question. I'll give you a quick answer.
This is where you're a journalist, and I might not know this. Okay, so the council can write a sternly worded letter, and the mayor can say absolutely not. But does not the council have a veto-proof majority over the mayor? So I guess my question is, what is it in the charter, the Binghamton City Charter, or the budgeting process that says that the council has no actual oversight over it?
The simple answer probably is if the council is serious about having the flock automated license plate readers deactivated in the city of Binghamton, city council ultimately could deal with it at budget time. I don't think city council can force, I'm pretty sure based on what I've heard from council members and from Mayor Cram, I don't think city council can do much about the current contract, but I do believe that at budget time, council could delete the funding for flock safety. And my guess, if flock safety doesn't get paid by Binghamton, they'll shut down the cameras on their own. Although that's only a guess. They might, we might call their bluff and say, and when I say we, I should say more like city council, they could call Flock's bluff and say, well, at the end of this year, for the new budget year, for the 2027 budget year, we are paying exactly nothing to Flock Safety at all. And Flock Safety, because I think they want these cameras to collect data for their database, I think Flock Safety might continue operating all of their license plate readers for free because they're going to make money off this database. So I think the cameras are already installed. I don't think there's much actual incremental cost monthly or annually for Flock to keep operating the license plate readers that are in place. If anything, it just adds more information to their database. They're liable in some communities that cut the funding say, it's okay. We'll keep running them. We don't care. We're not making the big money that we're making isn't coming from installing the license plate readers. The big money is going to come from the database that will sell to ICE and to private business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how our email's been free for the last 30 years because, well, they got our data at least.
Well, and that's it. So don't be surprised, James. Don't be surprised. I think it'd be an interesting case. I'd be intrigued if the city cut off funding starting January 1st, if Flock would say, what the heck? Complimentary. We'll put you, like the cable company, we'll put you on a special promotional program for the next 2 years. We'll keep running these license plate readers for free. And to show our good faith, we'll continue to allow BPD complete access, including individual cops, if they want to find out where their ex-wives or girlfriends are. So that might be that. I have no idea. I don't know how it works. Thank you, James. Let's see. Judy from Binghamton. Good morning.
Good morning, long-time listener, with a little public service announcement for that lady who wanted to dispose of her encyclopedias. And I know the Friends of the Broome County Library always take those donations, so she could take them to the library and ask at the desk where they receive the donations for Broome County Library.
Excellent. I should have thought of that.
I wondered.
Well, because I haven't heard from my friend.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Is she still around? Is she still running the book sales?
As far as I know.
Okay. Well, I hope she gets in touch with me, or I hope I get in touch with her, because she used to, pretty much like clockwork, give us a monthly update when the book sales were happening. So, we'll have to try to continue to publicize that opportunity, and that's a good idea. Didn't occur to me that Friends of Broome County Library and maybe some other libraries around, if you inquire of a librarian or a staffer, that they too would have an idea. Who knows? They themselves might have a specific purpose for encyclopedia sets, or they might actually know some families who may not have internet access or still might have kids. I have to believe, even in 2026, that some young people might be fascinated, maybe if only for a year or two, by actually having access to a real encyclopedia set, even if they have internet access where they can ask specific questions and get answers instantaneously. I think a lot of young people, even teenagers, would be fascinated by things they would find out in a real encyclopedia set.
True. Some people are even using them in the pages in their art. So
that's what I've said. Thought. And also I looked, of course, thanks to Google and AI, it does have different ideas. And it says you can consult with local groups, reach out to niche users, including theater companies, home stagers, or prop departments who sometimes use vintage books as set decoration. I hadn't even thought about that. You could call some theater companies, because maybe they could use books like that as part of a set for a future production. Oh, what about this? Some art teachers in homeschool co-ops or offline school detention rooms still take old books for student crafts or offline reading. So there are. True. Oh, and it says here. See, I didn't even get this far down to Google AI, but they basically affirm what you said. Most public libraries and major thrift chains may consider some donations. Some just reject them outright, but some may have specific policies where they can direct the books to be to a place where they can do some good.
True. And a PS on that, I had a set of leather-bound 1880 encyclopedias from my great-grandfather, and they were sold at an auction, so I received money for those very, very old encyclopedias. So the artwork was beautiful in them. But also, just to remind people that Friends of Broome County Library are always taking books, too, all kinds of books, not just encyclopedias.
Thank you, Judy. That's a great reminder. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
It's 1040 WNBF, WNBF.com. It's a community conversation, and sometimes you can ask a question and get an answer, or sometimes you can express a concern about no parking signs that suddenly popped up inexplicably near your church, making life a little tougher. And then maybe before you know it, someone will hear it on the program and say, hey, let's remove those no parking signs because they don't really need to be there. Little things. It's the little things sometimes that make this program so rewarding. 607-772-1290. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF. All right, I'll tone it down a bit. Hello. Let's tone it down a bit. Good morning, Cliffy from the ward.
Cliffy from the ward. This is not what I called about, but you played that Crimson and Clover song, and football season is coming up, and I hope the Crimson wave gets rolled over this year. Put the wave down in football. But anyway,
Cliffy, why would you say that?
Because I'm a Notre Dame fan.
Why? Do you like Indiana?
Yeah, but in college football, ever since I was a little kid, we had Lindsey Nelson on Sunday mornings, and you could watch the whole game in a half an hour. Back before the internet. But anyway, I was calling about the encyclopedias.
Yes. What about the encyclopedias?
Well, what are we known for? What do you always call our city? What is it known for?
The electric city. We're the electric city.
No. 100 years ago, and you always call us the what city?
The book city.
The parlor city.
What does that mean, pray tell?
Well, the parlor, that magazines make magazines, encyclopedias. They make a good coffee table piece when you have company over. You're sitting around, or you got something going on, and you're sitting there, and somebody, they're called coffee table books. You change one every week or every month when you have company or whatever, or no one might even not look at it. But it's a parlor. It's called. Have you ever heard of like a coffee table book?
Yes, I have a couple of coffee table books. I have one that has front pages from the New York Times from the beginning. So it has about 150 pages of historic reproductions of historic front pages from the New York Times. It's a large size book, and it's appropriate for my coffee table.
Right. And like I say, if you got company over, whether you're having a Diet Coke or an adult beverage, you're sitting around there on the deck or in the house in the winter, and you flip a page over, and it brings up a topic to talk about or whatever, or it looks good sitting on your coffee table or your parlor or living room or dining room table. But
I have a book now on my coffee table.
But that's what I was just calling about, too. The woman who had those encyclopedias, that's great that hopefully she gives them to the library, but people go to yard sales and all that, too, just to buy books or things just for coffee table pieces. So, anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. Have you too, Robert. God bless. Later.
Thank you so much. It's 10:47. This is Bob Joseph. I've toned it down a couple of notches. 607-772-1290. Our pledge drive begins next Tuesday. You're listening to WNBF and WNBF.com. WNBF at 10:50. Here's the story of an innocent man who they threw away in a cell for 30 years. And now he's out, and now he is suing Albany for $80 million in damages. Corey Young was set free in April after a court proceeding determined he had been wrongly convicted of firing a gun at 2 Albany police officers. This is according to TimesUnion.com, the website of the Albany Times-Union, written by the legendary Brendan J. Lyons. Excellent reporting. Listen to this. A 57-year-old guy who spent 3 decades in prison after being wrongly convicted on charges of trying to fatally shoot 2 Albany cops has filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city and 2 detectives who led the investigation. So this shows that misdeeds may have consequences. Corey Young was 29 when he was sentenced to 57 and a half years to life in prison after an Albany County jury convicted him of attempted murder for allegations he had participated in a robbery and then fired a gun at 2 Albany police officers during a foot pursuit. An appellate court later reduced his sentence to a mere 37 and a half years to life in prison. Sadly, Corey was innocent. Detectives claimed he was the suspect in a botched armed robbery that took place in 1995. It culminated with a shootout with 2 cops Along 2nd Avenue in Albany, the wounded suspect who was wearing a hooded sweatshirt ran away, as suspects sometimes do, but left a blood trail that detectives believe would help them identify the person through testing of blood type and using DNA. The 2 officers who were fired upon, fortunately, were not injured. For months after the shooting, multiple potential suspects were identified by detectives, either from witness statements or from information circulating in the community. But forensic testing determined none of those suspects' blood matched the blood trail left by the shooter, and the case languished for more than a year, and so on and so forth. And again, the details are contained in the Times-Union story by Brendan J. Lyons. Upshot is, Corey was innocent. So, finally, after decades, they let him go. They let him go. And I guess they probably figured, well, there you go. Sorry, buddy boy. Sorry, we made a mistake. And I'm sure they thought, that's that. Well, as it turns out, in this particular case, that wasn't that. So now, the city of Albany is being sued, along with 2 detectives, $80 million. $80 million. So this guy spent nearly 3 decades in the slammer after being wrongly convicted on trying to fatally shoot 2 Albany police officers. So now he's filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city and 2 detectives. Now, it's interesting to me about these cases, and look, I'm not here to lecture or pontificate. What I say about these cases that wind up costing taxpayers millions of dollars, like say in Tioga County, for example, nobody's ever held accountable. Have you noticed? I mean, obviously, mistakes sometimes are made because we're talking about people. Of course, mistakes will be made. This is a radio program. I make mistakes. On the other hand, if I make mistakes, I usually acknowledge the mistake, and if appropriate, I will apologize. But say, whether it's Albany or Binghamton or Tioga County, sometimes when mistakes are made and the taxpayers have to pay because mistakes were made, and then you have a secret settlement, have you ever noticed no one seems to be ever held accountable? Taxpayers pay the bill because obviously we're not expecting the people who actually made the mistake to ever pay the bill. They're held harmless. But taxpayers, they don't even get a true account. Say in the case in Tioga County. How did that happen? Why did it happen? Why aren't the people who were involved in that case that resulted in a major settlement, why don't they, I don't know, come on the program and explain it? Explain how something could go so wrong that taxpayers ultimately have to pay big bills. But again, I digress. I know most people are, whatever. We got all the money in the world. I worry, though, about some municipalities who are self-insured. What are they going to do when they get hit with, say, a major lawsuit? I mean, who can afford higher taxes to pay for someone's mistake? And again, if I were perfect, I would certainly be probably more outspoken on this. But because I'm imperfect, I understand mistakes are made. Everybody today is likely to make at least one mistake. Hopefully, it's not going to cost your city $80 million. We'll see how this case plays out. So this guy who is suing the city and 2 Albany police officers, he is seeking $80 million in damages. Well, let's be clear. I'm no expert, of course, and I think there's not a chance in Halstead that he's going to get $80 million, but he might get some money At some point, some attorney or some law firm representing the city of Albany will approach this guy's legal team and say, look, we acknowledge that there were errors in that investigation, and unfortunately it resulted in your client being kept in prison for nearly 3 decades. We can't undo that. And they could even acknowledge, they could say no amount of money is sufficient for the nearly 30 years that he lost his freedom. So we acknowledge that. We stipulate. And as part of the secret settlement, of course, because it probably will be sealed, as part of their secret settlement, they could actually apologize. They could use legalistic language. We are sorry that there were errors made during the investigation that resulted in Corey being kept in prison for so long when he didn't deserve to be convicted in this particular case. And so, in exchange for this cleverly and carefully crafted apology, here's $500,000 to make this go away, along with a provision in the settlement that says no party shall discuss the details of this secret settlement. And then you just go on your merry way. Basically, it's the philosophy that there's nothing to see here. So again, I don't want, people to be constantly harangued if they make a mistake. But I do think if you make some kind of mistake or error that results in taxpayers having to fork over, let's stipulate, if taxpayers or insurance companies that ultimately make the payouts for municipalities, if they have to make a payout over, let's pick a number, a payout over $500,000, then there should be some kind of explanation on video. No, not just a 3-sentence statement that's been cobbled together using some sort of cheap AI program. But I know most people don't care. Here's the forecast. Today, sunny, 83. Tonight, partly cloudy, 57. Patchy fog tomorrow morning, otherwise mostly sunny, 83. Showers and thunderstorms Sunday, 80. Right now, it's 74 in downtown Binghamton. And they tell me that's 23 Celsius. And air quality suddenly is a little bit better. Air quality index now, good in Binghamton at 49. I'm Bob Joseph.
News, talk, and information for Binghamton and Central New York. This is News Radio, WNBF, Binghamton, a town square media station.
WNBF.com provides news coverage that is relevant in many cases. So if you'd like to see some of the stories that I've been working on, not just the biggest, but some that are moderately amusing. The whole point of the website is information. Information that you may not get elsewhere. Information that's, will give you more ammunition the next time you're talking with someone and they are looking to you to come up with some little factoid that nobody else around here knows. I try to include in some of the stories little factoids that most people may not know. Some context, a little bit of history. I know some people can't take it. It's intriguing. Some people, well, I can't believe that there's all that information contained in one little story. Why would you go to that kind of trouble? And I think, well, why shouldn't I? Well, sometimes people say, well, it just happened. Well, sometimes things do just happen, but sometimes there's a bit of context. What about the past? Sometimes we can learn from the past. Well, I don't want to know what happened in the past. I just want to know what happened now. Plus, where can I get a lamb speedy? Can you help me on that? It's like, no, can't help you there, sir. So WNBF.com, check it out. Check it out. We've got a couple of stories I intend to publish in the next few hours, weather permitting. It sounds like I'm working for DOT. Weather permitting. Let's see what else is here on the agenda Oh, I know. I just something that just came in, and I don't even know the details. I just saw it's Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad. DOJ. Oh my gosh, nobody can catch a break anymore from the DOJ. According to WAPO, the Washington Post, DOJ to file charges against woman accused of vandalizing World War II memorial. The move comes shortly after Janine Pirro dropped charges against 4 people accused of vandalizing the Trump pool. So here is the story, hot off the press from the Washington Post website. The Justice Department will file 2 felony charges against the woman accused of vandalizing the World War II memorial in D.C., it's according to Janine Pirro. She said on social media, let me punch up the link. Of course, because it's on social media, it's going to take a while for it to load here, as we use 20th century technology just to prove that we're in no particular hurry. Well, I'm sure eventually her tweet will load. I'm sure eventually it will load, but don't worry. Don't worry. I can see from the little icon on my computer that it's in the process of trying to load, so. All right, let's skip that. Let's read more from the Washington Post story. It says on Thursday afternoon, part of the memorial on the National Mall was tagged with graffiti and soapy bubbles overtook a fountain. The incident is being investigated by Park Police. Red graffiti spelled out "Clean Hands, Dirty Dollars." That's a dollar sign beneath the Atlantic Arch. Red and green paint was splattered on some of the granite stonework. Pirro said the woman suspected of vandalizing the memorial, someone named Melissa, is in custody. And Janine Pirro says 2 felony charges will be filed against her. The Interior Department condemned the incident as an utter disgrace that will not be tolerated. The incident at the memorial comes weeks after the White House blamed vandals for disturbing the nearby Trump pool after the president's renovations quickly degraded, causing algae blooms and a peeling liner. Janine Pirro eventually dropped the vandalism charges against 4 folks and blamed the damage on flawed installation. And we know how that ended up. And a question you really have to ask is, why does Janine Pirro still have a job? But I'm sure when she becomes our new co-host, we can talk about that. 11:18, Rick from Binghamton, good morning.
Hello. Is it Rick or Rich? What is it?
Whatever. Only your mom really knows for sure.
She's been gone a long time. I have no witnesses. I heard some news today. I'm not sure exactly what it was about, but I think it was on Fayette Street. Some kind of a gun shooting or some kind of a problem where the state police got involved with it. And I'm trying to figure out, why are the state police doing in the city of Binghamton? They have authority to come here and get involved with the Binghamton police's business?
Of course, when requested. Yeah, the answer is of course. That's why we have the state police. The state police serve all of New York.
Matters. What about the Broome County Sheriff? What's their story?
Sure, they came too. Everybody. When there's a big case, everybody will come in if they're requested. So the state troopers and sheriff's deputies came at the request of BPD. It's basically
the story then.
What's mutual aid? It's mutual aid. I mean, that's what we want. If the state police and sheriff's deputies aren't tied up, then they're going to come into Binghamton or wherever. I mean, it could be Vestal too, don't forget, or Endwell, or Endicott, or Johnson City. If any locality, if the local police need some backup, then the state troopers, that's why That's why we pay them to be state troopers. They don't just patrol or serve select parts of the state. I mean, obviously they focus on areas that don't have their own police department, but say if local police, if patrol or detectives need some assistance, the state police are there to assist. It's a great system.
What about the ICE people coming into Binghamton?
Well, you got a problem with ICE people? I think it's
not my problem.
I think it's great that ICE people are in Binghamton. They're Americans. They should have the right to travel freely anywhere in this country, just like you and I.
Yeah, that's fine. But you don't have any information about this. I think it happened in the 7th Ward.
Yeah, it probably did. I don't know. Well, I know what I know, but the police haven't released any information, so I can't just blurt out. I was in Binghamton last night, but then that happened 10 minutes after I left Binghamton, so don't look at me. I had nothing to do with it. I'm serious. I was in Binghamton. I heard about it. No, I mean, I have witnesses that will place me nowhere near that in the 7th Ward. Trust me. I was nowhere near the 7th Ward last night, and I have witnesses that'll corroborate that. Plus...
You weren't near the lamb speedy table?
No, because it wasn't open yet.
Oh, you know about that much. Okay.
I was over, by the way, I was over there this morning looking at their tables, but there are no lamb speedies yet. I was there this morning, and I'm thinking, what if they serve lamb speedies for breakfast and nobody else was around? So I was the only one there, and I'm thinking like, well, this place is going to be a lot busier in a few hours, but when I was there this morning, absolutely nothing and no one. I was hoping to, ask someone to cook up a lamb speedy just so I could have something for breakfast, but they weren't around.
You're going to have to go to Endicott then, I guess.
I will. Trust me, I will. So, yeah, I mean, not to be a smart aleck right now, I know some things, but it hasn't been released by the police. So to show my respect for the investigators, I haven't said anything yet on the program. But I believe the Binghamton police are shortly going to release some information, and then we'll put it on WNBF News and on WNBF.com so people have some facts. So unlike some people just put out whatever they think they know. And see, that's the problem. Sometimes people put out stuff they think they know. And that's why we...
television.
Well, I know. Well, I saw the things on television, and look, hold on a second. Listen to these stories. You tell me how helpful this is. I'm looking. Okay, here's one. The headline says, police presence in Binghamton this evening. And I look at the headline and I'm thinking, there's a police presence in Binghamton every evening. So and let me look at the other channel. And remember, these are news channels. So here's one. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. Heavy police presence blocks off a street in Binghamton. I'm saying, okay, so they sent a reporter to the scene, as they should, and they come back to the station, and it says heavy police presence. Well, it doesn't tell me, in my opinion, I'm just saying, in my opinion, it doesn't, heavy police presence. What did they find? Another shocking device with wires protruding? I mean...
Oh, yeah.
No, and again... I would like to be able to report something on this before noon, and trust me, if they put out information, or if the police chief or assistant chief or the detective captain call in, we'll put them right on the air. That's my pledge to them, because my goal is to protect and inform.
Right. Well, that's why when I heard state police, I got nervous. They probably shut it down.
Well, of course, you got to shut it down. Remember the other day down near the travel, what do they call it? Like a travel port, Circle J or Circle X or whatever, some convenience store that they're trying to build. where the Aldi should have been in Binghamton there, near the fire station. Instead of putting in an Aldi, we wind up with a Circle J, whatever. So, and some guy who's working to build the convenience store, he wanders over and he says, "What the heck?" I'm paraphrasing because that's not exactly what he said, but I don't want to have a conversation with the FCC to start my weekend. So we'll say,
got HIPAA laws, you know.
Exactly. Protect their privacy from these suspicious devices. So he saw a device that didn't belong there, so he did the right thing by calling the police, and then the Binghamton police called over to Endicott to have their bomb squad check it out, which it's always better to be cautious. You know, a lot of people say, "Hey, I could have told you it's like something my kid put together." Well, maybe it was, but what if it wasn't? You have to treat everything that looks suspicious. You have to treat it appropriately, just in case.
That's good to know we have a bomb squad in Endicott.
Well, yeah. I think it's great, right?
Yeah.
I think it's the bomb.
It's surprising to me that all these years I started playing my career in Endicott, and that never heard about the bomb squad. But
really, they've had it for a long time, and the reason, if I'm not mistaken, I think historically, the reason why Endicott police have a bomb squad is because of IBM's presence in the village for decades. And I think
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and when IBM was very much involved in defense work, when IBM was regarded as a potential military target back in the day, I think IBM provided a lot of funding for Endicott. I don't know if it was all the funding they needed to set up a bomb squad. I know at one time, I think IBM paid for the village fire department to have some specialized equipment, maybe a foam truck or whatever, which made sense. I mean, IBM had invested billions of dollars in the site. It goes without saying that the village of Endicott on its own didn't have enough money necessarily to start up its own bomb squad or whatever. So I think that is the, as they say, story behind the story, why Endicott is the only local police department here in Broome County that has its bomb squad. And so they're available. They make themselves available to all the local agencies as necessary. So that's a great thing.
Lockheed Martin's a big military supplier.
Yeah, and if a suspicious device was found there in Owego, my guess is the state police or the Tioga County Sheriff's Office would call the Endicott Police Bomb Squad if it seemed appropriate, because it's only, I don't know, if it's 10 miles from the police station. So, I mean, it makes sense. I guess some people would be, well, shouldn't Binghamton and Johnson City and Vestal and Port Dickinson also have their own bomb squads? Yeah, they should, but I mean, how many times would you need it over the course of a decade? Fortunately, it's good. In my opinion, it's good that we have a trained bomb squad with technicians who are able to step in as necessary.
I guess it's necessary in these days and age.
Well, but, now you're making it sound like suddenly that explosives were just discovered in the last couple of years. Look at the colorful history of this country. This country, they've been blowing stuff up since before this country was formed.
That's true.
This country, some people are, well, I can't believe people are blowing up stuff and coming up with dangerous devices in 2026. Look at the history of this country. Look at 50 years ago. There were bombs a-popping everywhere. They had, you think the left wing or the leftist or whatever you want to call them, you think that they're troublesome now. Look back in 1973 or 75 when they were bombing stuff everywhere. Syracuse, Rochester. What about the guy who threw a Molotov cocktail through the window of the bank in Endicott on West Main Street? How come nobody talks about that?
I forgot about that.
See? You don't see that kind of stuff happening these days. And I'll tell you why.
It's down.
Well, yeah. It's because people have learned something. People have learned, for the most part, no matter what your goal is or what your cause is, you're not going to succeed by blowing anything up. And now, instead of blowing stuff up, now they go on social media.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying, I look at some of the stuff on social media and I ask myself, what do they hope to accomplish? On the other hand, it's better than blowing stuff up like they used to do decades ago.
Oh.
In my opinion. I mean, look, people have to decide. It's just like Janine Pirro. She has to decide if she wants to obey the speeding laws.
Well, she makes an exception to the rule because she's a judge.
Yeah. I mean, there she is, big shot. She has her TV show. She has her Escalade. She has her, all the power.
License plate, too, matter of fact.
I bet she does. I bet she does. Yeah. And yet, I bet even now, years later, I bet she still can't believe that a New York State trooper had the audacity to pull her over in the town of Nichols near Jeff Garal's place.
Dude, I got caught by a state trooper on Front Street one day. Turned out to be a friend of mine from high school.
Yeah. So, what did he...
He gave me a warning.
Well, good.
He says, make sure you get those plates off the car because you're not a car dealer like my brother is.
Yeah, well, see, sometimes I am glad that law enforcement officers frequently do have some discretion in some cases where it's appropriate. Because I don't really think that actually the police I know, whether it's police officers or sheriff's deputies or state troopers, the police I know are really not that keen on writing up tickets. I mean, they will if they must, but that's not a highlight of their day. The other thing is,
that's old school cops.
Well, now I know there's some people who might be the exception. I've heard of a couple of people who've been exceptions, but generally speaking, they're reluctant. They don't want to jam people up unnecessarily. Now, obviously, if you're driving through Tioga County at 119 miles an hour, well, what is the state trooper? What was she supposed to do? Oh, Jenny, that's okay. Jenny, that's okay. I'm going to let you off with a warning because you're heading to Elmira because you have a date with that Brian guy, Brian Wilson from NBC.
Brian Wilson.
From NBC. Or is he from the Beach Boys? You know who I'm talking about. It's just like, or Tommy Hilfiger. Yeah, maybe it's more likely that she wasn't going to see Brian Williams in Elmira. Maybe she had a hot dinner date or a lunch date with Tommy Hilfiger in Elmira. That might make sense. But what's a state trooper supposed to do? You're clocked at 119 miles an hour on a Sunday afternoon. I think
you do her a favor.
Oh yeah, she, the trooper, she probably saved Jenny Pirro's life.
Jenny Pirro, does she drink? She probably was drunk.
I doubt it.
119 miles an hour?
No, not at 1:15 in the afternoon. I think she said she was in a hurry to go see her mom, and I don't doubt it. I think her mom, if I'm not mistaken, was having health issues at the time, so I do believe, and again, I'm recalling, this is just what I can recall, I think the story was that she was heading to Elmira to visit her mom, and I don't know if her mom was in the hospital or the particulars. It's none of my business because of HIPAA. Yeah. But again, even having said that, I don't think anyone should be going 119 miles an hour near Jeff Garal's place.
Of course.
But that's just me, and here's the thing. I say that, and I've never actually had a chance to ask Jeff Garal what he thinks of it.
Well, I heard he's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
Veterans.
He's, as far as I know, he's always been good about coming on the program. Maybe someday I'll ask him to come on the program and ask him directly. What did you think about Jenny Pirro? And should she have gotten a ticket in the first place, or should they have just said, hey, I'm going to let you off with a warning, and try to keep it under 100.
So you could stop at Tioga Downs.
Yes. Stop by, visit Jeff Garral, and why don't you have dinner at one of the fine dining establishments. Appreciate your call. Have a good weekend.
Soon, right?
Yeah, have a good weekend.
You too.
11:35. Bob Joseph, a friend to all, including cable TV hosts. 607-772-1290. You can call in if you must. No, you can call in if you wish. Sorry, I read the wrong card. It's WNBF, WNBF.com. Let's return to the busy phone lines. Eric in Binghamton, good morning.
Hello, Bob. How are you today?
I am well.
I wanted to carry on the conversation a bit on the subject of books. And the point I want to make is something I learned by talking to ChatGPT and Gemini in particular, and I was queued up to it on a YouTube video. But the essence of it is that when these programs educate themselves, when they go through their initial learning process, they read books. One of the things that they do, and the idea was theoretically they would read already PDF books or already scanned books, digital books. But I asked both of them if it was true that if they couldn't find a digitized book, that someone with the company went and bought books at used bookstores, and then they read those books. In order to do so, what they do is they guillotine the back of the book, separate the pages, scan it, and then when they're done, they throw the books away. And this is huge volumes of books. And I asked them also if they sorted out rare books from these used bookstores from the non-rare books. And the answer I got was, well, we have someone that does that, so take that for what it's worth. But I found the whole thing very, very disturbing because I'm a guy that frequents used bookstores and likes to read old books. And I know the rarity, if you will, of used bookstores these days. They're more and more rare, and it's harder and harder to find good old books with some rarity. So I just thought your reader or your listeners might be interested in that.
Did you ever go to the Lescaron bookstore in Johnson City?
No, I grew up in Binghamton, but I've been out of town most of my life. I'm just sort of back here, partial retirement. But I used to go to the Book Barn, up in Ithaca. It's a very, very large bookstore. But no, I haven't been to that one.
Yeah, I just looked it up, thanks to the internets. It's hard to believe they've been out of business for nearly 4 decades. I used to enjoy that place as a kid, going through there, and just, I don't know that we ever bought that many books. We bought some, but just having the chance to peruse all the books, all the great books from over the years, a lot of reference books. Sometimes it was, remember, they used to have the almanacs. Every year they would put out an almanac, about 1,000-page thing, compendium
right.
of all sorts of facts that we don't need anymore because of the internet. And sometimes I would find an almanac that was 1 or 2 years old, and I think they were charging maybe 50 cents for it at that point. And I was so excited. It's like, oh, look, it's got information about Iran or whatever. And almost any topic you could think of, they had something in there in the World Almanac. But anyway, yeah, as far as books, I wish there were more rare books. They had I think the bookshop on Washington Avenue in Endicott went out of business about 2 years ago. They still have a nice bookshop, locally owned bookshop in the village of Owego. I'm glad they're still operating, and I visit that place every so often. But yeah, rare books.
I don't know if you remember, Bob, when I think it was Alice Chatlos Library went out of business after 100 and some years. Remember that? And probably your radio show, they said that they were going to give books out $1 a bag. And my friend and I went over And between us, we got about 340 books. And
Amazing.
I remember I was in there one day, and there was a guy. He was just grabbing all the hard-covered books. And I said, "Are you going to read all those?" And he said, "No, I just want to save them." And I was shocked to find out after a month or 6 weeks of the library basically giving books away, what they did is they backed a dumpster up, and they hired someone to stand there and break the back of the books, tear them up, and throw them in the dumpster. And, I found that, why would they do that? Why would they not give it to a used bookstore or the library or whatever? But
well,
that's what they did.
my thought is they probably would have if they found someone who would take everything they had. And some people are very particular that they'll take some things, but it takes a lot of time to go through books and say, okay, these are the types of books that they want, and these are the type of books that they won't accept. So sometimes people have such limitations, which I understand. A lot of times other organizations only have a limited amount of space, so they can't take it all. And they also, say if they were told by a library or some store going out of business, yeah, come and get them. Well, who has a truck that big? To transport, just physically transport the books that are available to a secure warehouse until you have time and people to go through each one. So, but.
Yeah, well, in this case, they didn't have such a quantity. But
yeah.
I found it, I don't know about you. I'm in my 70s, but I find as I talk to people, and I live half my life overseas and half in the States, and as I know a lot of people, and when I talk with people about reading, oftentimes they say, well, I don't read anymore, or I can't concentrate, something along that line. And I just think people read less and less, which goes hand in hand with the bookstores going out of business. And I just find the whole thing disturbing. And then the idea that AI is destroying books as they read them, the trend is just what really bothers me.
I agree. Appreciate your call.
Okay, thank you.
11:44 at WNBF. More calls coming up. If you wish to chat, I would love to speak with you. We still have time. 607-772-1290. This is Bob Joseph on WNBF. Let us return to the phone lines and see what exactly is going on here. Vinny from Binghamton, good morning.
Yes, Bob, good morning. I'm glad I was able to get in. I got pulled. I heard one of a caller's call before, James, about being cuts in food and this and that. And I'm like, the question comes down to is, what do we do? And I always start back in by saying, how do we get involved? A lot of people say go to your local town meetings and or this or that, and I agree with all that. But I think it starts with voting. You've got to be involved. Tom Hartman, he's like the number one progressive show in the country now. He's got a saying that he says, democracy is not a spectator sport. You have to get involved. And, you hear a lot of people that are against the progressives or Democrats talking about, oh, you guys aren't American. You're always complaining. No, we just think we can do better. That's all. Life changes. Things change. Bob, do you remember the Merv Griffin show?
Yeah, do I? Merv owned the station that I was working at, WMRV. Yeah. He called it Merv.
Yeah. Yep. Do you remember Mike Douglas' show?
Yeah. Do you remember the Dick Cavett show?
Yes, I do. And Joe Franklin.
Yeah, those guys were way too smart. Can you imagine if any of them had a show today? They'd be bounced off the air because they were too intelligent.
Exactly. But what happened, a lot of people, ratings, they were getting older. And after a while, having guests on there talking about politically correct things. And then you had a guy like Phil Donahue coming, getting those real heavy things to talk about.
I know Donahue wasn't afraid to talk about the difficult topics of the day. Every once in a while, I think people got mad at him because he was ahead of his time. These days, some of the topics that he touched on his program, nobody would raise an eyebrow. Back then, it was like, you can't talk about that at 9 a.m.
Yeah, but you know what, Bob? If you watch some of his shows and some of those issues and some of those guest stars, that audience didn't act crazy. They were mad, but there was always a calmness.
Just like the Jerry Springer show or Maury Povich.
Yeah, exactly. But my point is, our world changes. And as long as we have the maturity and the respect and leadership accountability, we'll be all right. But right now, that stuff's getting crazy. And we've got to get back to those type of foundations for us to get this country moving again. And it starts by voting. Everybody's got a comfort zone, wherever you start. But my thing is, you've got to vote. And we don't need sprinters. We don't need anybody can go fast and sprinters and talk. No, we need long distance people because this stuff didn't happen overnight. So that's my thing about it. That's how you change. Is you get these young people, the future of our country, you get them involved and explain to them, this is a long distance run, okay? And we're going to have to hand it off at some point down the road to the next generation. Then we'll get this thing straight because there's a lot of headwinds, man. A lot of headwinds that weren't there before. Our media used to be with us. No, they're all about the dollar now. So you got to remember that.
Two things. Yes, they're still about the dollar, but they're also about capitulating to the Trump administration so they don't get their license yanked. Look at what the FCC is doing to ABC and the Walt Disney Company. They're trying to yank the broadcast licenses of their TV stations. So that serves as a lesson to each of us not to do anything to rock the boat. So that's the bottom line, sadly. Thank you for your call. Yeah, you can't do anything that's going to get the FCC unhappy. It's 11:53, WNBF News Time. More information on the way.